Midrand Gauteng, an apparently tranquil and unremarkable small holding in Blue Hills, transformed into the location of an action nobody was ever intended to witness. On Tuesday evening, a multidisciplinary police task force advanced, executing with exactness and synchronization as strands of intelligence assembled together over weeks finally converged. What they uncovered inside the unremarkable location was not merely illegal goods. It was proof of a complete structure. Concealed behind vehicle storage partitions, stored away in a storage chamber intentionally hidden from direct observation, lay 80 kilograms of cocaine. Its calculated market worth, 20 million rand. Its terminus, Cape Town. Its objective, absolute financial gain. Its result, at minimum one apprehension. But this was not merely another narcotic seizure. This was a communication transmitted with intensity. The discovery demonstrated to be a striking illustration of the extent to which structured criminality has woven its path into residential existence, selecting locations like this as an operational base. Criminal structures are no longer concealed in deserted storage facilities or remote agricultural properties. They operate right within visible proximity of developments in tranquil neighborhoods that pride themselves on separation from such activities. It conveyed one communication powerfully, unless law implementation revitalizes itself and acquires the ability to evolve, it will be made obsolete in an environment where criminals advance faster than regulations can adapt. The SAP's declaration was official and restrained, announcing that crime intelligence had synchronized a multi-division action resulting in the confiscation of 80 kilograms of cocaine. That was the civilian account. The reality behind those terms is something more intricate: the movement, the foundation, the structure constructed around the Blue Hills location. The location was not selected randomly. A small holding in Midrand supplies the perfect disguise. It is not as questionable as a storage facility, and it is positioned along significant transport passages, near enough to motorways, yet still within transportation distance from Johannesburg. It is a location distant enough from concentrated examination, yet near enough to transfer product rapidly. For narcotics traffickers, it is perfect. The divisions participating reveal their own narrative. Personnel from the Organized Crime Division, the Johannesburg K9 Division, and the local criminal documentation facility were all mobilized, indicating how serious the circumstances were. This was not minor transactions. This was syndicate-tier operations. Initial probes proposed that the cocaine arrived in South Africa through a bordering territory, was transported across a frontier, moved across regions, temporarily stored in Midrand before being arranged for transfer to Cape Town. This alone suggests a structure extending across territorial and regional boundaries, an apparatus constructed for productivity, and one protected by tiers of intermediaries. A 56-year-old individual, the proprietor of the location, is now in police detention, confronting potential accusations related to possession and distribution. But let this be made absolutely evident: on this magnitude, he is improbable to be the orchestrator. He is a connection in a sequence. The genuine designers remain concealed, protected by separation, by currency, by intermediaries enlisted specifically to absorb the initial impact of law implementation. In an action of this scale, the storage location is essential. Without a secure storage center, the distribution sequence disintegrates. Without tactical points like Midrand, the enterprise loses millions. And without such concealment locations, the criminal marketplace suffers. This is why Tuesday's success is meaningful, but only a solitary confrontation in an extended campaign. Multiple teachings surface from this action. First, intelligence is crucial. The reality that crime intelligence directed the action fundamentally established that reactive enforcement, or responding only when offenses transpire, is obsolete. In this context, syndicates function quietly, tactically, and invisibly. Only penetration, observation, and data accumulation can expose their traces. Without intelligence, storage installations like this remain unidentified for years. Secondly, apparent enforcement does not affect these activities. K-9 divisions and organized crime experts were required because this was elevated tier, meticulously layered criminal operation. The tranquil residential environment indicates a transformation. The criminals have advanced beyond informal communities or industrial areas to conceal in middle-class settings where they flawlessly integrate into legitimate occupants. Third, currency cleansing and monetary foundation are inseparable from the narcotics economy. 20 million rand worth of cocaine suggests millions in prospective currency movement. The currency does not transfer openly. It travels through phantom corporations, concealed financial accounts, real estate acquisitions, and informal structures. Confiscating the narcotics does not eliminate the apparatus behind them. It merely interrupts it temporarily. Fourth, the pathways persist because the apparatus permits them to. Why Midrand? Because supervision is inadequate. Because small holding locations are scarcely inspected. Because the police absence resources to address these dimensions, creating ambiguous areas that exist between metropolitan enforcement and agricultural governance. Fissures where criminal operation flourishes. The terminus, Cape Town, is a metropolis already devastated by organized violence, narcotics conflicts, and escalating criminal power. Removing 80 kilograms out could preserve existence, postpone aggressive confrontations, and interrupt local distribution sequences. But nobody can presume to assume this one will permanently transform the terrain. Syndicates evolve rapidly. Pathways modify. Fresh storage locations emerge. Without comprehensive transformation, another Midrand location will be utilized again shortly. The apprehension generates deeper inquiries about responsibility. Who is the intelligence behind the action? Who transported the narcotics across the frontier? Who financed the shipment? Where are the additional storage facilities? This seizure is not merely about narcotics. It is about graft, involvement, and the invisible forces which permit these structures to prosper. And above all else, the matter remains, there is simply no openness. The civilian population hears the prominent worth of the confiscation, but they barely hear the complete narrative. They are not informed how the syndicate established, how location possession was transferred without alerts, how local administrators might have disregarded compliance, and how foundation vulnerabilities were manipulated. In a territory confronting disparity, the narcotics economy becomes a virtual alternative economy. As legitimate possibilities disintegrate under the burden of joblessness and sluggish accountability, criminal marketplaces expand, propelled by hopelessness and avarice. The dangers persist, but for numerous individuals, the benefits far exceed them. Strategists confront an uncomfortable inquiry: are we genuinely prevailing or merely obtaining the remnants? The Midrand seizure is but one apparent segment of a considerably greater, almost entirely concealed operation. For every storage location revealed, 5 additional probably remain undisturbed. For every operator apprehended, another intermediary can advance. Welcome to the contemporary narcotics confrontation, tranquil, residential, unobtrusive, concealed behind electric barriers and maintained vegetation. And unless law implementation progresses beyond the present approaches, they will persist losing territory. Certainly, some advancements have been achieved by the organized crime divisions in South Africa. Synchronization between regions remains inconsistent. However, data is fragmented. Resources come and disappear. Supervision is reactive instead of anticipatory. The criminals advance while the administration delays. This investigation should be an emphatic demand for transformation. It should establish the concept of intelligence-directed enforcement and propel difficult inquiries about location regulation, frontier management, cross-regional synchronization, and resource identification. The communication to the criminals could not be more evident: we observe you. But the communication to residents needs to be more forceful. We defend you. Where transparent advancement is not apparent, neighborhoods lose confidence. They observe as existing circumstances deteriorate, organized groups reinforce, availability to narcotics escalates, and they question what has genuinely modified. For the inhabitants of Midrand, Blue Hills, and Cape Town, the ramifications of this commerce affect every dimension of existence: learners experiencing narcotics-connected aggression, guardians losing offspring to excessive consumption, households confronting thefts propelled by dependence, and contributors observing their currency vanish into both law implementation initiatives and the accounts of criminals. A 20 million rand confiscation is substantial, but in international crime economics, it is a minuscule portion. The genuine inquiry is whether this instance ignites a transformation moment to disrupt the sequence: transportation, storage, distribution, currency, authority. South Africa needs to strike critical points. Eliminating the Midrand storage center disrupted a connection in the sequence. Unless comprehensive transformation follows, 5 centers will materialize in its position. Genuine transformation signifies illuminating who possesses what location, monitoring all monetary channels to their origin, making frontier transportation pathways accessible, regulating elevated danger location rigorously, achieving reliable cross-regional cooperation, and undertaking forceful resource confiscation. The Midrand seizure is a triumph, not the campaign. Without fundamental modifications, the subsequent shipment will materialize, the subsequent location will be utilized, and the sequence will persist. The casualties: dependent youth, violated households, compromised organizations, are too genuine to disregard. South Africa cannot afford to remain reactive. It must transform: anticipatory, intelligence-propelled, comprehensive, and transparent. Because upscale residences can no longer be protected structures, residential locations can no longer be obscurities for storage. And the criminals who formerly concealed comfortably behind tranquil Midrand petitions are now confronting revelation. South Africa is observing and the globe is observing, and quietness which in the history protected these structures is fragmenting.